Members of an ancient order, fallen into dust. Sworn to defend the weak, masters of the longsword. Their origins lost to history. Still, they fight for what is right. Driven by duty, devoted to their people. But only a few may join.
The Warden is the vanguard of the Knight faction. They're the first warrior you learn to play as in the campaign, and they're very much the icon of For Honor. As a writer, I like to apply personalities or a sort of nature to my characters, and so when I look at the Warden, I do the same thing. I see a warrior who's noble and righteous to a fault. They're sworn to protect the innocent and the weak, no matter who they are. They're devoted to purging evil wherever it is, and for this reason, I see the Warden as willing to kill a knight who has corrupted their purpose, and willing to save a Viking or samurai who is in need of aid, so long as they aren't fighting them or anything at that time. And that's just how I see the Warden. It's always been how I see her personality. Now, you'll notice here that I'm playing the female version of the Warden, but I also play a male version, especially when I'm up against a Nobushi, because I am all about that Warden-Nobushi shipping. The reason I'm showing you my female, though, is because of a point I want to make about the armor. Speaking of which, let's get into that. So the Warden's armor here is a set of interwoven plates over chainmail, and what appears to be gambits and under armor here. I could be wrong about that. She's wearing what looks like a Barbuda helmet, which is a 14th century era helm, if I remember right. And I'll be honest, I really like this armor set in particular. It's one of the newest ones, and the color here just suits me. But again, that's personal preference. You go with what you like. I give her this look because I felt it fit the noble and righteous warrior. And I will point out, just as a nitpick, if you look back here for the helmet, I'll zoom in a little bit. If you look back here, you'll see a braid. Yeah, that's a little silly. You see, the chainmail is designed to go up and over and around the head like a hood, but the braid is sticking out somehow. That doesn't really make much sense to me, and my brother really, really hates it. And it's a minor nitpick, but it's something I wanted to point out. The weapon is the longsword. The longsword here looks great. This is my favorite variant of it. It's a large piece of steel, sharpened on both edges with a long crossguard and heavy pommel for balancing. It's massive, requiring two hands to hold. Don't let anyone tell you a longsword can be handled one-handed. It should not be. It's dangerous on all sides. It's a very versatile weapon, good for offense and defensive purposes. And in my opinion, it's one of the greatest medieval weapons ever made. I really do think that it is a fantastic all-around weapon. So, now that we've taken a look at the armor and the weapon of our Warden, let's go ahead and take a look at her gameplay.
So when talking about the Warden's fighting style, you've got to think about how a longsword is meant to be used. There are three basic stances in all of For Honor: the top stance and side stances. All three look really good on the Warden. I particularly like the top stance. It looks complete. It's actually based on a real fighting style. Now, first thing to know is that you've got a combo of two light attacks from any direction. You can go from either side. They do moderate damage, not a whole lot, but enough. Then you've got your heavies. The heavy attacks do more damage, but my biggest issue with them is the fact that they are highly telegraphed. Look at how easy they are to see coming. Easily blocked. Easily. Another direction? Again, easily blocked. Well, not in this case. I actually got him that time. Victory. Now, the heavy attacks aren't bad in and of themselves, but I take issue with the fact that they are just so easily predictable. They're highly telegraphed. I'll show you a clip of what a real longsword heavy should look like, what a real longsword fight. It's not that the attacks are bad in and of themselves, like I said, but some of them just look blatantly horrendous. Like, every last heavy attack for the Warden is an unblockable, if done from the top. But it's so easily telegraphed and, well, just watch. You see it coming, it's easily blockable, and worse yet, in this moment where I'm doing it, it leaves my entire front exposed. In a real fight, this would be suicide. Now, there are other facets to the Warden's mix-ups. For example, the famous shoulder bash. The Warden can do a shoulder bash attack for a small charge, which guarantees a light, or a full charge, which guarantees a heavy. Mixing up your shoulder bashes is a great strategy with Warden. Quite often what you like to do is feint an attack, then do a shoulder bash to mess with your opponent. This makes many people hate the Warden because of the way they can mix it up. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up about Warden before we move on is one of Warden's greatest abilities, which, if used correctly, can turn the tide of a fight, the crushing counter. It can only be done from the top, but if your opponent swings a top heavy, I can use an easy light attack to deflect and knock down. It's completely unblockable and guarantees the hit. It does about enough as a light damage attack, but it's a great way to bamboozle an opponent. Once you figure out the best strategy with Warden, which I find to be, don't rely too much on your heavy overhead. Feint out of that overhead unblockable, and then use your crushing counter when they try to parry you. Also, it's great if you have an assassin up against you, like the gladiator who loves to dodge, to use guard breaks. Feint into a guard break to mix it up with them. But the truth is that Warden is a true mix-up specialist. His arsenal is too basic to be otherwise. He's easy to figure out, but a little bit more difficult to master. Regardless, that is the Warden.
So now that we're done taking a look at the Warden's armor and weapons and fighting style, we're now going to take a look at the executions as our final little piece of the pie. When I look at executions, I'm looking for a couple of factors. I'm going to grade it on a scale of 10, 10 being the best. And what I'm looking for is, does it match the character's personality? Would it actually kill someone realistically? Is it realistic? Is it too comical? Because funny is okay, but if it's too comical, then it has to lose points. And is it cool? Is it badass? So all those things go into my grading. So let's go ahead and take a look at the very first one. Now, understand that some of these I have bought, and that will change up the order. So don't be like, hey, why is this in this specific order? Okay, knockout. I give this one a 9 out of 10. The move is swift, fluid, and it fits Warden's character. The block is excellent. And the use of the stab into ground roll makes the movement fun to follow. The final decapitation is definitely cool. And while it may be a little choreographed, it looks legitly sweet. Loses points, though, for not returning to the guard position at the end. Pay close attention. Yep, she puts away that sword, not returning to guard position. A good warrior should not drop their guard like that, especially in a battlefield. It's called follow through. Always follow through. Deep hacking. This one's also a 9 out of 10. The move emphasizes great power and strength. The strikes are cool, and it may be a bit wide for my taste. I love the slow and methodical cutting of the throat in the middle. Right here. I love that. That's very cool. And while a bit overkill, I think it still fits Warden's persona fine. It again loses points for, as you'll see, dropping the guard. Still a totally solid and very brutal execution. Wait for it. Yep, puts away the sword. Follow through, please follow through. Alaria's Wrath. This one gets a 6 out of 10 for me. I find it funny. When fighting a very annoying or toxic player, this is cathartic, and it's a great way to finish them off. So I do definitely like it. However, I can't award it a great deal of points. The warrior drops her weapon to perform it, which is suicidal in a battlefield scenario, and while it is cool, punches like that might not be enough to be lethal. I still love it, though. I definitely keep it in my repertoire just for the cathartic factor alone. But again, 6 out of 10. Blackstone Bash. This one's a 7 out of 10. It's fast, it's awesome, and a great way to finish someone quick. I love the addition of the shoulder strike as well. It fits the Warden's moveset. However, one part of it kills me, and I'll show you. It's, watch it again. It's this part. That slash is fine. There it is. Oh, that leg sweep. I don't see how that sweep could make her opponent levitate like that. He just goes completely parallel to the ground. It's unrealistic to me and loses points as a result. But the animation is still solid, so I still find it worth using. Grave Passing. Yes, this is a 9 out of 10. It's almost perfect. It fits her character perfectly and provides a very meaningful and noble moment as she shows respect to her defeated enemy. Almost like praying for his memory. It's smooth, it's calm, and it's not too over the top. So why does it lose that last point? Well, watch to the end. Put it back in guard position. To be fair, though, if you're taking a moment to pray over your opponent, maybe you're not in a real life or death situation that you need to go to guard point. But still, it's a matter of principle. I did it with the others, I'm doing it with this one. Spinning decapitation is the first. 10 out of 10 for the Warden. Finally returning to guard point at the end there. Not only that, but the move is fast and fluid, and it's creative. I love executions where the warrior spins or smoothly rolls around their enemy. It shows elegance and grace. It also is a testament to how smooth and masterful the Warden is with that sword. Flawless kill. 10 out of 10. Taking out the trash. This one's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's effective and quick. Not entirely sure what the other guy's doing there. Is he reaching for her hair? I don't know. I do like that she goes back into guard stance at the end, though. That's good. I guess it is just a little too basic for me, and it doesn't quite fit in the Warden's persona enough. What does? This next one. A moment of silence. This is a 10 out of 10. Perfect. This is taking out the trash if done right. It's still an impalement, but it feels direct and meaningful. I love the brief pause as she gives him a moment of silence, and even maybe a prayer as she kills him. It shows that nobility I was talking about, and it's missing from taking out the trash. She returns to guard 2 at the end. Perfect. Guts then chop. This one is okay, I guess. There's nothing wrong with it. She returns to guard stance and the execution feels strong with a good heavy hit in the end. But I guess it irks me that we don't see the shoulder gash she clearly makes in the beginning there. No, take another look. Look at that. There should be a massive hole in his shoulder. There just isn't one there. That bothers me. But again, I guess that's personal preference. Not a big deal. Yes. And okay, so this one is Brutality of Camlin. I can forgive the lack of a return to guard because this is the first time the Warden has used the full part of her sword. She uses the slash, the stab, and then the hilt to do damage. She uses every part of the sword and takes full advantage of it. So I'll forgive the fact that she doesn't go back to her guard stance. I'll forgive it this time because that's just beautiful. It's fast, it's fluid, it's perfect. It's so Warden. Hilt strike. This is actually a historical real attack called Mordau. Plate armor is often, plate armor is usually impervious to sword cutting attacks, but the hilt there is so heavy and blunt, it's like a blunt instrument that can beat through the armor and do damage. So a knight would be trained to grab the blade in a way that it doesn't cut them and then slam the hilt into the armor to puncture it. Because this is historically accurate, it shows weight and it's very cool and goes back to guard stance. I give this one a 10 out of 10. The backhand strike. This one's an 8 out of 10 for me. Pretty basic, but I like it fine. It again goes back to the guard position, which is good, and I do like the weight behind Warden as he gets hit. It's a solid and very real feeling execution. I just don't know how well it fits what I think of when I think of Warden. It feels almost like a bitch slap, which wouldn't really fit the Warden's persona. End them rightly. 4 out of 10. I know it's a real technique from history, but it's done wrong. Ending them rightly comes from the Gladiatoria, an ancient fencing manual. It tells to unscrew the pommel and throw it at your opponent, but as a distraction, not as a conk on the head. That's just silly. Leaving that out, it's stupid. Firstly, the eye shot here is great. It's perfect. But then throwing the pommel is just goofy and meaningless to me. I can't hate on it too much because granted it is kind of funny, but not my taste. I'm not getting it. Shoulder tackle. This one's a 6 out of 10. I really just don't know I just don't know how to feel about this. I know it's meant to be funny. The warden shoulder tackles the guy, and they both fall. She starts to get up and stabs him, as she does. Then this moment, what the heck was that? It's like she's apologizing or telling him to wait a moment. She then pulls out the sword and suddenly remembers she was supposed to kill him. Look at this. Hey, sorry about that. Oh, we're cool. I killed you. Good. It's just weird to me. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Fractured rib cage. This one makes my skin crawl. Ah, man. 7 out of 10. This one just hurts. It's good, but it's so brutal and doesn't fit Warden's character. Although it it shocks me to my core. The breaking of the rib cage is so sick. I love it, but it's horrifying to watch. I can't watch it again. Moving on. Larry's banner. Two out of 10. I hate this execution. It's the first Warden one that I really hate. This execution came out around season 11 or 12 when all the heroes got an execution that had to do with their feats. And this Warden is pulling out the health banner and slamming it into the opponent. Several problems. One, where the heck did you pull that out? Where was that hiding? That's unrealistic. Two, wouldn't it be better if it had the player's emblem on it rather than the health sign? Third, I might like this more if the banner actually started healing nearby allies when it was planted. That'd be a very funny thing to happen, like you kill someone with the banner and then the banner starts doing its job. That'd be great. And finally, it's just goofy. It's silly. It's clearly meant to be funny, and it's just failing for me. I don't think this is funny. I think it's just a meme. I never liked this one, and it's easily the worst Warden execution. Dumb. So, final thoughts on the Warden. Warden is a solid and fun character to play. Despite me using the female version for this, I quite often play the male Warden, like I said, especially if there's a Nobushi on the team with me. I am a shipper of those two. I don't know why, it just fits. It's a great meme. The honorable and noble Warden is worth the time to play and try out. If you're new to the game, give him a try. The Warden is a very easy character to get the hang of and can really be devastating once you master them. Well balanced, creative, and righteous to a fault, they are an excellent vanguard for the Knights. That's it for this time. Tune in with our next analysis where we tackle the assassin of the Knights and For Honor, the Peacekeeper.